For a Rolls-Royce defender, and that's what they were calling him, right? Rolls-Royce defender really is a
Champions League
1990s BMW. But for a Rolls-Royce defender, he came in last season and he was awful.
He came in and he has managed to make someone like Eric Dyer play to a good level, where he was completely flailing before that.
Look, I don't want to do anybody previously at Chelsea a disservice. But you know, if you do a Chelsea dream team, a Chelsea all-time 11, I think you talk about Thiago Silva now.
This guy in front of me goes, Robbie, that's Saliba there. And I go, is it? And I remember he's wearing this big yellow hoodie, right? And I went down to him and I said, you're right, welcome to the club sort of thing. He stood up. I was like, bloody hell.
Really? What's happening, everyone, and welcome to 888 Sport. On this episode of the playlist, we're going to be talking about centre-halves, the brilliance of the centre-halves that exist in the Premier League. To make it really easy for you when we're ranking them, I'm going to give you some names. We've got Diaz, Van Dijk, Thiago Silva, Romero, Saliba, and Raphael Varane. They are the names that I want you to rank. So somebody, you're going to have to be very cutthroat on this. Somebody is going to be left off this list.
Wonder who that's going to be.
Let's get stuck in.
It's not easy.
I mean, I could flip this over. I think this could be the shortest video in the history of 888 Sport, because if you've all done this correctly, we can just wrap this up. This is, you know, most football, right? It's about opinion and bias and nuance and whatever. This is just fact. This is subjective fact. Everybody ready?
Turned it round and we've all been on the same page.
Everybody should have this list.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
So.
Oh, quite close, Mr. Jennings. Quite close. Your list was nearly... Oh,
and Rob's as well.
And Rob's as well. Okay, interesting.
So Robbie's the only person who's got Raphael Varane on their list.
Yep.
Robbie, talk us through it. Either we've got it wrong or you have. We can.
Raphael Varane is a world-class centre-back, so I couldn't leave him off the list. I thought about Romero. He's a quality centre-back, but Raphael Varane is world-class. I know he didn't show it last year, but this season I was very impressed with him, for instance, when I went to Old Trafford and we played against them. He was excellent. And I think, he's back. And he's a world-class centre-back. He has to be in that list. He has to be.
I did disagree, but I don't disagree. It was in my head.
No,
shall I pick him? Shall I not
not
pick
on the
him?
list.
He's only had 7 good games.
He's had 7 good games. They call him.
But then
Rolls-Royce.
again,
He's not a
we put
Rolls-Royce.
Saliba in, and he's only had 7 good games as well in the Premier League.
Good point, well made.
So it's.
So, having said that, though, Saliba last season was Liga and Player of the Year,
Yeah.
young player of the year, and he has burst into the French national team. And when you think about the centre backs that they've got at their disposal, for him to be a regular in that team shows how good he is. And I've seen this guy this season; he's absolutely brilliant.
So who have you
But
left off, Rob? To put Varane in,
Romero.
I left Romero
Of course,
off. Right?
of course he did.
I can see what's happening.
It's not a
It
bias.
makes sense now, doesn't it?
It's always the most biased.
It's not a bias. I think Romero is good, right? I think he is good. But I just look at how could I? For me, it was between him and Varane, and I just think Varane is world class.
I see
Romero's
what
not.
Romero's done with Dyer and how he's elevated his game, and I've seen Varane with Maguire and how he's not been able to elevate Maguire's game. And I think a good centre back is able to elevate whoever.
Look how he's elevated, Martinez.
I think Martinez
who
has
started
elevated
off. Who started off.
I think Martinez has elevated Varane.
How? In which way?
I think soon as Martinez has been next to him, I think Varane's is improved.
No, but he's commanded.
complement one another.
I think Varane has commanded the defence there. Honestly, when I went to that game at Old Trafford, I was watching Varane. I'm like, hey, he's back.
For a Rolls-Royce defender, and that's what they were calling him, right? Rolls-Royce defender really is a
Champions League
1990s BMW. But for a Rolls-Royce defender, he came in last season and he was awful. And he's got away with being awful. He's coming in like a top class defender.
Well, I think he's got away with being so awful because the heat's all been on Harry Maguire. Yeah. So,
do you know what I think we're going to have to do, Rob, if you two agree with me? I think if you want Varane on the list, I'm prepared to go with it. But Romero has to be on, which means the only way you can get Varane on the list is if you sub Saliba off it.
You must be joking, mate.
I had a feeling it'd go that way.
feeling.
How quick was that?
All right, listen.
He's like, I don't really want him.
See you later, Varane. On goes.
So Romero's on.
All right, Romero's on.
So are we all in agreement?
I think we are.
You know the thing as well about Romero, right? Is I like him, right? But he's very rash as well.
Yeah, I agree with you.
A little bit like why I wouldn't that's why Saliba makes it in front of Gabriel for me. On that, I like Gabriel, but again, he's very aggressive and can be rash, give away. Whereas I just think like Saliba in the role is more, you know, what I mean, he's more, yeah. Whereas Romero, he's another one. He's always giving away stupid fouls and can be a bit. Am I
No, I think you're being fair. I think that if I'm basing it off this season, he has been probably not at his best from what we've seen him be over the course of last season. But I still think that he's a fantastic defender. I think that he came in and he has managed to make someone like Eric Dyer play to a good level where he was completely flailing before that. Yeah. I think that he's, whether it's down to the coaching or just having him next to him, he's still got, Emerson Royale in that back line with him. And I still think that he's actually improved Royale defensively. Not saying that's Romero, but I'm saying it still has an impact of having that someone that is, a good leader, a good centre-back.
Those qualities that Robbie's touching on there, where you say that he's a little bit rash or a little bit potentially violent, they also have positive connotations, those words, like being combative, being aggressive, being a winner.
Yeah, you need that. You need that little bit of steeliness.
Yeah, being a bit spiteful.
They already got that with Dyer.
Yeah,
he's very spiteful.
But he's not good enough. He's not good enough. Though. It's all very well being spiteful, but you've got to be able to play a bit.
I just think that, that's why I would have had Varane on it, because he's just more, he understands the role more, he's more cultured. Yeah. He's better, I think, at bringing the ball out as well. And he's a world-class player. I mean, I know he did a bit of a dodgy season last year, but I think he's coming back into his own.
We've all gone Van Dijk at the top, haven't we? So that's in the bag.
There's
nothing to say there. He's slightly out of form.
Even though
still the best defender.
Even though standards have slipped, obviously.
Yeah, he's not been at his heights. I mean,
he was so far in front of the rest anyway.
Couldn't catch him.
Couldn't catch him yet. So even though he's slipped.
Yeah, it needs to be a year of this performance.
Yeah, he needs to drop for another season for Thiago and Diaz to catch him. I think
he's been getting spun a few times this season. Van Dijk, which I'm not been used to.
He has. I have to be honest.
I've not been used to seeing.
I almost feel like that's partly because of Trent's defensive frailties. And it's another centre-back pairing every single week with him, whether it be Konate or Matip. Nat Phillips has played with him this season. He's not had someone with him consistently for the. Listen, we don't even have to. He's still the best. I think if you're a striker and you see Van Dijk,
the worst.
Ask a striker.
You're worried. Worst opponent.
Least like to
you're
be,
worried, isn't it? You're
worst opponent.
The worst.
I'm not gonna.
He's faster than you. He's stronger than you. There's not much.
Do you know what I'm very surprised by? In a pleasant way, Overall in our football world, I didn't think that Thiago Silva would get the respect that he deserves. I think Chelsea fans are fully aware of his brilliance, but I didn't necessarily think that Premier League fans were aware. And 3 out of 4 of us have put him second ahead of Diaz.
What he's doing at his age, right? And he's been a world-class player for over a decade or longer, right? And what he's done, he's brilliant. If he was a little bit younger. Yeah, how much would he be worth? I mean, he's just an ultimate defender and also he's a leader as well.
Yeah. You say his age, and unless someone tells you his age, you're not watching him thinking that he's that old.
No.
Like, I only judge him when Liverpool played Chelsea, and I look at what we chuck at him. So, we switch sides Mane, we switch sides with Salah to get at him. Can't get past him.
And he deals with everything, doesn't he? Beautiful on the ball as well. Beautiful.
He's not the biggest.
No.
You can't beat him. Physically
good for a goal.
Strong.
Good in the air as well.
Got a goal for you.
For a goal.
And when he came to Chelsea, I thought it was almost a case of just coming to pick up a last few quid.
Well, do you remember the opening game? Do you remember the game? We went away to the Hawthorns and we drew 3-3.
Yeah.
But he had it, when the ball was rolled into him and he let it slip under his foot and they scored and everyone was like, "Oh, it's a nightmare. It's going to be a disaster." I can't rate him highly enough. Genuinely.
Yeah.
Look, I don't want to do anybody previously at Chelsea a disservice. But if you do a Chelsea dream team, a Chelsea all-time 11, I think you talk about Thiago Silva now. I think that's honestly
a big shout.
Honestly, obviously Terry, and then yes, I think I would agree.
Yeah,
but I think you discuss Thiago Silva.
He's that good.
Yeah. So he is second, just because 3 of us.
I'm happy to change him out.
Yeah,
I'm happy to.
Which means that Diaz is third. Okay, we're united here.
By the way, before obviously, look, I've got Diaz as third as well. He's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all are though.
He's insane. Yeah. The only thing is they rarely do any defending.
Yeah.
So you don't even see it that much because they've 90% of the time.
What I like about him as well is his leadership qualities as well. Another one of these centre backs that his leadership qualities are brilliant.
Yeah, I think.
And by the way, he's only young.
Yeah.
When we talk about Van Dijk, who's approaching 30, Thiago Silva obviously in his 30s. Diaz is 24, 25?
Yeah.
He's young. So good.
Yeah, I think these 3 are like genuinely elite. You know, when we were discussing managers on a previous episode, the top 3, whatever order, being third on that list is still a huge compliment. And being third on this list is still a huge compliment because the 2 above you are just elite.
If Steve McInerney was here right now, he'd be having a heart attack. That Diaz is third. He would literally say Diaz is number 1, and
he probably would, but he'd be wrong
for it as well.
Well, I did have him
as
as second, but I am happy to switch with you guys. I think that he improved City, and I think that when you've got a team that is very difficult to even improve on, I still think he came in, he made them look a different outfit, especially at the back. Somewhere where I always felt City was still a little bit weak and could be dominated at the back.
I still go Thiago Silva above him though, because I think again he's a world class centre back. He'll be playing. Even at his age, he'll be at the World Cup. He'll be playing, right? He's world class. He's done it on every level.
I completely agree.
So he has to be. That's why I had Varane in there as well, because he's a world class player.
How far away are any of these lot from your all time world class Premier League defender?
I think Van Dijk's in the
Rio's.
conversation now. Terry's definitely above him.
No, I don't even know. I think it's
Vidic,
similar.
Ferdinand is definitely above him. Vidic, Tony Adams, Sol Campbell. Sol Campbell.
Ledley King.
Yeah, we'll agree to disagree, Abs.
On the next episode,
she wouldn't say
say
Sol
Sol
Campbell.
Campbell,
She wouldn't say it, right? You can say Sol.
He don't even make my top 100.
The only thing that we need to work
He's my
out.
top 1.
Sure he is.
He's my number 1 in this. Sol.
Do you know what I realised though? When I was doing my top 5 ever, it's very Arsenal heavy. Tony Adams, I think, is one of the greatest captains to have ever played the game. Sol Campbell was just immense. Like, you couldn't get round him. Well, when you've seen those greats, do you see any traits of Saliba that could propel him into that kind of company?
No, for such a young player, he's an outstanding centre-back. He understands the role. He's quick. He's strong. The other thing as well, he's deceptive. He's a big guy. I remember when we first signed him, and obviously we sent him on loan for 3 years, but I remember when we first signed him, he was actually sat at the away end at Watford away.
Love things like that.
Right?
Love
and this guy in front of me goes, Robbie, that's Saliba there. And I go, is it? And I remember he's wearing this big yellow hoodie, right? And I went down to him and I said, you're right, welcome to the club sort of thing. He stood up. I was like, bloody hell.
Really?
I'm 6'1". The guy towered above me. I was like, he's a big guy. He's a big guy, you know what I mean? And then you watch, so he's got all the attributes. He's big, he's quick, strong, reads the game brilliantly. And I think if he can stay injury-free, I think he can really be up there with the real top players. He reminds me a lot of Van Dijk in the way in which he's sort of commanding his presence. But listen, I'm not getting ahead of myself. He's got a long way to go. But he's a real
The
prospect.
potential's there.
Because remember, we saw Fofana a couple of years ago, and he looked that player as well. But the injuries set him back. So if he can stay injury-free, and he got the best song in the Premier League as well. So
You nicked it.
for me,
You nicked it off Brighton.
Saliba.
You nicked it off Brighton. You nicked it off Brighton.
Brighton
It's Basuma, but yeah, whatever. Yeah.
What are you looking at me like that for?
Just looking at it.
So the only thing that we need to do to make this
want
list
him.
complete, it's we both disagree. Robbie and I have it 4 Saliba, 5 Romero. You have it the opposite way. We have to come to consensus.
We're right.
Robbie, are we right or are they right?
It has to be Romero.
It does. You
We're
can't.
right.
As
Conceded one already.
as good as Saliba has been in the past 7 games, Romero's been in the Premier League longer.
Yes,
And
not
you've
only
seen
that,
more
but
of him.
Saliba's had the benefit of having Gabriel that's been there now for a couple of seasons. Ben White's been around him as well. Again, what he's done to Dyer. Dyer, forgive me, was a bit of a laughing stock at stages. Dyer's now back in the England squad and will probably go to the World Cup. And that's solely based on Romero being next to him. I've got to have Romero above him.
Robbie, is there any wiggle room with you here?
You think Robbie's
Keep
going to put
wiggling, Rob.
Romero?
Keep
No
wiggling.
wiggle room
Rory, this is all
whatsoever.
down to you,
me.
son.
There is no wiggle
Down
room.
to you.
Watch it.
I'm inclined to agree with you, Robbie. I am inclined to agree. I rate Romero, but I just think that Saliba is edging this. It's dead heat.
Just very biased over there. Chelsea fan, Arsenal fan. Just very biased.
But the anti-Tottenham thing coming out in
it's
both
just,
of us.
You know, that anti-Tottenham agenda
Maybe.
just rolls on.
I don't know what to do, so I think I'm not changing. Robbie's definitely not. You two look like you are welded to your choices. There's only one thing to do, and that is to ask you. Can you comment below? Whatever you say, whatever the majority rule in these comments is who will get anointed as the 4th best. Is it Saliba or is it Romero? Who do you think is the 4th and 5th on this list? Thank you all so much for watching. We really do appreciate it. If you've enjoyed it, please give it a like, click subscribe. We'll see you all in the next video. Peace.
All right, what we got next week?
We have got top 5 biggest coaching rivalries in football.
Ooh, in the Premier League, yeah?
In the Premier League.
There's one that stands out in it. There's one.
I'm thinking of like Sir Alex,
Really?
Arsene Wenger.
I'm thinking a bit Mourinho.
Yeah,
Wenger,
Mourinho's in
Ty.
there. I thought you were going to say like Pep and Klopp, and that's just like
That's
hugs and
love in that.
hugs
That's
and love. So.
As always, make sure you leave a comment, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode of The Playlist.